Hey there! So I didn't anticipate spending 3-4 days doing this, but here we are, and there's a whole bunch of updates to the script. So let's get started. So the first thing you'll notice is that we have a new design on the sliders. Thank you, Digit, for pushing me in that direction and for a nice starting point in the design. And if we open up the settings window, you'll see now we have this here where we will be able to set basically anywhere there's a fader. It's these settings it's using. And we can also change to knobs, and you can also choose whether the knobs is going to be on the left or the right. And if we have the sliders, we can choose how fat the slider will be. And then, like with the knobs, you can see we can drag up and down. Let's do something like this. I can also drag left and right. That's kind of normal. We have that option for faders as well. Like right now I can drag up and down, but nothing happens. And if I say this, you can see that I can also drag up and down on the sliders. Now I want to show you that there's a setting in the mapping page, which right now it's under experimental, but it's make it easier to change parameters that have steps. So let's just disable that and change this waveform. It has triangle, sawtooth, square, and noise, so 4 steps. If I enable this option, you will see my mouse will only have to change very little because it's catching the steps. If it's too short, we can change this one, and now you will see that I have to move a little bit further, but not at all the full length of this here. And this applies to the knobs as well. I put a max slider in there as well, so you can decide when you like to which degree you want it to use this step mode or use the actual length of a slider. Alright, let's get to the next part, which is we need to map something. So let's add one of these new ones, and I'm gonna add that to the cutoff. And now you can see down here that we have a bunch of new layout things. If we just clean it up a little bit now, so this is the simplest you can have it, and everything works as expected. And then you can decide to have the width knob. You will see that that follows like that. And then when the width knob is enabled, you can choose to show the width in this field, like how much of the width is whenever you change it. And that also goes if you doing it with scroll. And then we can have the enable, disable, and polar polar buttons. So here we can change the direction of polar, bipolar on off, and then we can also enable and disable it. And if we double click here, it will remove the the mapping. And then we can have the name below. I think this is very nice because then you know right away what is actually automating this, else you would have to scroll over and you can see it in the name there, or you could right click but here we can see it right there, and we can decide where we want the text. And then let's just show here, if I did something like this, this last thing, if there was stuff in here, you can now see that there's an E in front of the name, which means that there's an envelope on this track. And I could clear that by doing this. So now there's no envelopes. The next thing I want to show you is that we have a whole bunch of new modifier settings and a new context menu on the right click. So if I go to the mouse keyboard and modifier settings, you see all these new things. I've also redone some code in the background, so this should work better. These works in conjunction with each other, so you can hold down both the adjust width and the fine adjust and the scroll value. And if we look here, we have a couple of different things. If we scroll over a mapping, then you see that we actually see all the settings in there as well. So if I hold down the super key, the command key on Mac, you can see that I'm changing from bipolar to not bipolar. And if I add shift, I'm flipping the width. And if I hold down Alt, I'll bypass. And if I hold down Super Control and Alt, I'll remove the mapping. So pretty neat. And if we go to one of these plugins, you can see I'm also able to reset the value. I'm not able to get the default values on regular plugins, so these reset values on the modulators are hard-coded. Like that. Maybe there'll be a solution for the parameters later. Alright, and then if we right-click, as you can see, you can also right-click. We see this on one that's mapped, and we see a simpler menu on one that's not mapped. If this is not new, we can show the envelope link, but maybe you haven't seen that. And we can also clear and hide the envelope link. And then we can actually map with a new mapper right away, or with a new modulator right away. So there, I mapped it. That's great. Let's do one other here with a new thing. Let's do the MSEC, and I'll just add it a little bit down that way and then change it to free. So now we see that. And I could also go and say I want this to be right click and then, oh yeah, that's a big one. Use with an existing, so I could select the first LFO and now it's using that instead, which actually means that you could in principle completely remove all these things. You could in principle do it like this, and we just have this, like I click on a parameter here with my floating mapper, I right click and then I say use one of the existing ones and change the width. And actually, let's say I'm having this one here, it's also mapped, and I want to do one of these parameters, I can right click one of those, and then I can add that. And I guess in principle we could continue in here. So, but it's you probably find bugs, but it's pretty cool that we can sort of have the depth of that. So the last thing I'm gonna show you is that we got 7 new modulators that I got to include from Snook, Snook 2. Thank you for that. And you can see them having that here in the name. So if we just start from the top, we have a new, oh, let's close this one. We have a new plugin, curve plugin. So it's a bit the same as the MSEC, but I figured why not include it. A kind of cool thing is that if you select the hold mode, this slider will control it, and then we could add an LFO, and actually let's just use the new LFO from that. So now it's doing the, yeah, it's getting the curve from the LFO. Alright, so that's the LFO. It's a little bit different. There's more settings if you open it up, but the most important ones are in here, and I think the most fun thing is the jitter. You could also sync it. This is not done the nicest way. Like you can see, it doesn't show the subdivisions, but it I might add that later. But what you all were asking for was to be able to actually change the speed. We could just change the speed with itself. So like this. Now it's doing its own speed while also doing itself. Then let's continue. We have this math thing. I think the easiest way is to show it with having this and maybe having so we have 2 different curves here, and I'll put this one in. Oh, there's a little thing there. So this is coming in here, and then this is coming in there, and then depending on how we combine them, it will sort of combine them in different ways. So we have a subtract version, a minimum, so it's taking the minimum value of the 2, and maximum. And obviously if we didn't synchronize these as much, maybe we took minimum, then we get like a funny thing there, like that. And then we have an envelope, and I think, yeah, so it's a little bit like the MSEC as well, but it's a bit simpler, I guess. Yeah. And then we have 12 pitches, and I'm just gonna make this smaller by holding down super to change the size. I did not make a modifier for that yet, or like you can change the modifier for that. But if I play on my keyboard, I'm just gonna turn down this track. You can see that the output depends on what key I'm pressing here. And I had to redo this to see all of them. And we can also make it smooth, so it's a little bit slower. So you could attach that to a whole bunch of things. And then we have a step type of sequencer, and if we put in, it has to be in play mode for it to do that. And yeah, you probably all know that. And we can reverse the direction, and you could also trigger reset from different places, and it has a random function. And then we have a toggle select. This one is actually pretty cool. So you can see as I'm scrolling through, it's sending out on 4 different outputs. So if I took this one just for now, now you can see that sort of going through the 3 of them, and let's make them even just to get a nice pattern like that. Toggle will turn it on and off. So when you're approaching the next slider, it will turn it off. So you can see it goes up and then down before it starts the next one. And fill will fill up the space between, so when it's all the way to the right, all of them will be full on. And you could also have toggle and fill. And that's it from Schnucks 2's plugins. There's also the counter that I wrote this last week. The counter counts either node input or a trigger. Let's just clean this out a little bit. So right now the steps are 4. So whenever I press on my keyboard, it will count up till 4 and then restart. And there's a reset value, so if I'm here and I reset it, now it goes back to 1 or 0, you would say. There's also option of making it more smooth with 2 different types of timers, and there's also a threshold for node. So if you press lightly, now I'm pressing my keyboard but nothing happened, and I'm pressing it harder, something happens. And then we can also trigger it with an outside source. So if we took this and we triggered here, now it's using this as the input. What's cool is that we get 4 steps, which might be useful, or more steps if we make it that way. And you can also choose what value to restart to. So if I'm doing here now and I'm resetting it, I'm going back to 6. So that's it. You will probably find some bugs here in the beginning. A lot of stuff has changed in the background. The script gets more organized, which is nice. It will be easier to expand on things. I really hope you enjoy it. If you do, please support me. I'm spending way too much time on this, but I want us all to have these awesome tools. So, see you next time.